What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC 289. We have Amanda Nunes going against Irene Aldana.
I need all the wins, yeah. All that and all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back talking some DraftKings for UFC 289, which is a solid card, for a pay-per-view. Maybe not the best pay-per-view in the world, but it's a good card overall. Definitely looking forward to it. Looking forward to it from a DraftKings perspective as well. And yeah, can't wait to break it down. I think there's a lot of solid options on the slate. I think we're going to get a couple finishes, especially on this main card, a couple big scores here. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Should be a very fun time. Before we get started and get into the video, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. That is much appreciated. Check out dfsbythenumbers.com. All content is done for the week. You got all the stats you see on the Friday, Saturday show. You got the targets, projections, rankings, ownership projections, the lineup optimizer, and just much more. So check out DFS by the Numbers. Everything is ready to go for this card, as long as, and I probably jinxed it there, as long as there's no fight cancellations, but for sure just jinx it there. It always happens every week, and it's annoying because I do like to get my lineups done early in the week, but there's bound to be some changes more often than not. But yeah, everything's done, everything's ready to go, all content ready to go, DFS articles out, all that good stuff. So be sure to check that out at dfsbythenumbers.com. Also be sure to check out Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code DFSBTN. Hit my favorite play of the week last week with Jin Yu Fry over 0.5 takedowns, and let's see if we can hit my favorite play this week. We'll talk about it later in the show there. All right. I say we get into it, though. Let us start with these fight doesn't go to decision lines. We have Mike Malott going against Adam Fugit, minus 325. A fight doesn't go to decision. This is the most likely fight to end inside the distance according to the odds, and rightfully so. Mike Malott, 11 fights, 10 wins, or 9 wins, all in the first round, and his only loss comes in the first round. He has been to decision once, and it was a draw, but that fight was a long time ago. I think both these guys are really good finishers. Both these guys can be finished. I think somebody's getting served here. I think it's a really good fight to target. I don't think this fight goes the distance, and quite frankly, I think this fight probably finishes in the first round, like the majority of Mike Malott fights do. So Mike Malott at 8,800, it seems like a solid price for a guy that has finished all of his wins in the first round. But Adam Fugit is a dog, and he is a dog that is going to fight for your money. And if this fight does get extended, it does favor Adam Fugit very heavily. So I think it's a phenomenal fight to target here, and I think it is a fight that does finish and score well. Next, we got Amanda Nunes, Irene Aldana. Another really good fight to target here. Amanda Nunes, 9,500. Irene Aldana is sitting at 6,700. We have the fight doesn't go to decision, minus 260. So, yeah, I like Nunes here a lot. She is going to be my favorite play of the week. But Irene Aldana is a intriguing dog at this price tag, 6,700. If it turns out Nunes is, showing up, not prepared, not taking this fight seriously, maybe this is potentially her retirement fight. I don't think so, but maybe it's a retirement fight. And if that's the case, if Irene Aldana is coming in here, the more motivated fighter, I think she definitely has a chance. If Nunes is showing up hungry, motivated, ready to go, I think she sparks Aldana. I don't think it's even close, but it's those narrative things that are making me add some exposure to the Aldana side. So I'm going to have a ton of Nunes. I think she's the better fighter everywhere in mixed martial arts. She's even the younger fighter, believe it or not. But Aldana does hit hard, and like I said, the narrative things for Nunes causes me to add some Aldana. But Nunes with the takedown upside, finish upside, whether it's on the feet, she hits hard, whether it's on the mat, I think she can get Aldana out of there, and probably early as well. So I like Nunes, going to have quite a bit of her, but I will sprinkle some Aldana just due to the price tag. Next, we have another good fight to target. We have Beneil Dariush, Charles Oliveira, minus 225 for that fight doesn't go to decision. It's a Charles Oliveira fight, and that means it must be targeted. And look at these price tags. Beneil Dariush, 8,600. Charles Oliveira, 7,600. I'd be very surprised if this fight did not find its way on the optimal lineup with the way Charles Oliveira fights. Charles Oliveira gets after it from the jump. He's going to pressure. He's going to force a fight out of Beneil Dariush. These guys are going to stand and bang. Both guys are very dangerous. Both guys, I really question the durability. I think somebody's going down here. Charles Oliveira's although I'm picking Beneil Dariush, Charles Oliveira is probably my favorite dog on the slate. 7,600 for a guy as dangerous as Charles Oliveira anywhere the fight goes. However late the fight goes, however early the fight is, I mean, he's always going to be very, very dangerous. So I do like Beneil Dariush to win the fight stylistically, but Charles Oliveira at a $1,000 price savings is a very, very, very good dog this week. But this is a fight that is borderline must target for me on an 11 fight slate here. Next, we have another good fight to target, in my opinion. Blake Bilder going against Kyle Nelson. So Kyle Nelson is a guy that, typically you'd look to target his fights, but his last 2 fights have not scored well, and it's definitely burnt me. He fought Jai Herbert, and nothing really happened in that fight, and then he fought Doo Ho Choi. Nothing really happened in that fight. I think this fight's going to be much different, and that's because I think Blake Bilder is going to bring a fight, whereas Jai Herbert looked like he didn't want to be there that night, and then Doo Ho Choi, kind of the same thing. Doo Ho Choi was coming in off of like a massive year layoff and didn't really look to be the Doo Ho Choi we all know, right? So Blake Bilder is going to go in there. He's going to make it a dogfight, and I think that's going to open up opportunities for both guys, whether that's Kyle Nelson landing a early shot and knocking out Bilder, which I think that's Kyle Nelson's path to victory, is probably either an early knockout, he does hit hard, or it would have to be like a grinding-based decision, which, both those outcomes are going to score well. So Kyle Nelson as a dog, 7,200, going to be very low owned. I think he's a solid dog here, but I'm more on the Blake Bilder side. I like the fact that this guy pushes the pace. I think he's going to make Kyle Nelson work, and I think he's going to go out there and finish Kyle Nelson down the stretch. So another very, very good fight to target. I think all 4 of these fights are going to be, I'm going to be heavily exposed to all 4 of these fights. I think they're great ones to target, and I personally think they all 4 finish inside the distance. Moving on, we got Amanda Nunes here. My first core play, we talked about her a lot. Narrative aside, she's the better fighter by a mile. It's not even close. She's the better striker. She's the much better grappler, the much better wrestler. She's fought the much better competition. We can go on all day. Amanda Nunes is the better fighter. It's just the narrative things that are going to scare some people away. It's the narrative things that are why people are on Aldana this week. But yeah, if Nunes shows up motivated, ready to go, I think she goes out there and puts up probably the biggest score on the slate. So I got to have Nunes. I think she has a couple more in her, and I think she goes out there and puts up a big score on Saturday. Beneil Dariush, 8,600. Going to have a lot of both sides here. As the week has went on, it's weird. Like I'm a little bit less confident in Beneil Dariush as I was early on. Like early on, I was like, yeah, stylistically, it's a really good matchup for Beneil Dariush. But the more I think about it, the more I think about how dangerous Charles Oliveira is, the more I think about how Charles Oliveira is going to be in this fight at all times. But like I said, stylistically, I think Beneil Dariush, although I question his durability, I think he's durable. More durable than Charles Oliveira, who's just been getting dropped left and right his last couple fights. I think Beneil Dariush has really solid grappling. So unlike a Gaethje, unlike a Michael Chandler, I think if that Dariush does hurt Charles Oliveira, he's going to be able to get on top and finish the fight. Whereas Justin Gaethje kind of let him recover a little bit, let him get right back up, because he did not want to go down to the mat with Charles Oliveira in that instance there. But yeah, Beneil Dariush will, and I think Beneil Dariush probably does finish Charles Oliveira. But like I said, Charles Oliveira is super tough. He's a guy that won't quit nowadays. Used to. Nowadays he's tough. He won't quit. You can knock him down, he'll get right back up. But like I said, I think if he does get knocked down, Dariush will take advantage of it and probably finish him. So I like Dariush here. Charles Oliveira, we'll talk about him in a little bit. I think Charles Oliveira is very much so in play at $1,000 price difference there, though. Mike Malott, 8,800. We talked about him. It just seems like a kind of a steal here in a way for Mike Malott. Not in terms of how I line this fight, but just in terms of the upside of Mike Malott at 8,800. Like if he wins this fight, there's a very good chance it's in the first round. So yeah, if he wins this fight at 8,800, I think he has a good chance of finding his way onto the optimal lineup. I do have concerns if this fight does get extended, but I'm playing Mike Malott for that first round upside. And he has a lot of it. 9 wins, all of them in the first round. Few gets been finished a couple times. I like Mike Malott here at 8,800. And then Blake Bilder, we touched on him as well. 9,000 for Blake Bilder. I like the cardio, the pressure, the pace. He's dangerous on the feet. He has power on the mat. Very good grappling. I think he's going to wear on Kyle Nelson, make him work, and I think he's going to finish him late. And I think Blake Bilder actually has a very solid ceiling this week in this Kyle Nelson fight. I think it's going to be a very fun fight, exciting fight, and I see Blake Bilder getting his hand raised in that after a second or third round finish there. All right, moving on to our GPP plays, tournament plays here. Dan Ige, 9,100. I just think he has knockout upside here, and I think it's potential early knockout upside as well. So Nate Landwehr has been finished 3 times. He's been knocked out twice in the UFC, once by Herbert Burns and the other by Julian Erosa. Both are terrible looks in my opinion. Landwehr is a guy that he's tough, but he is reckless. He's going to leave openings, and Dan Ige hits like a truck. I think a Dan Ige first-round knockout is very much in play this week, and if Dan Ige knocks out Nate Landwehr in the first round, he's going to put up a big score here at 9,100. So for that reason, I do like Dan Ige. I think in terms of how this fight plays out, I actually think it's going to play out a lot closer than this line does indicate, but if there's a finish, I think it comes from the Dan Ige side. Marc-Andre Barrio, 8,400. There's not much in this mid-range that I like outside of that Charles Oliveira fight, right? But Marc-Andre Barrio is a guy that I think I got to mention here, just because of the volume. He's landing nearly 6 significant strikes per minute. He's a guy that went out there against Julian Marquez and just broke the slate last time. This guy can put up a ton of volume, has very good cardio, uses that cardio as a weapon. I think if Marc-Andre Barrio wins this fight, as long as he's not getting taken down, as long as he's not getting clinched too much, I think he can go out there and put up a very respectable score at 8,400. Arichi Long, 8,300. He's a guy that, money's coming in on Ayman Zahabi, and I don't really get it. I mean, Zahabi's a guy that just throws no volume. I mean, there's guys that are low volume. Zahabi's no volume. He throws nothing. So for that reason, I think Arichi Long is going to be the clear minute winner here. I guess Zahabi could knock out Arichi Long. I think that's the path for Zahabi, but my goodness, Arichi Long's never been knocked out in 33 fights. So I like this matchup for Arichi Long. I think he's, going to be the higher volume fighter. I don't know if he finishes Zahabi in this matchup, but Arichi Long landing over 6 significant strikes, I think he's going to make this a war, make this a brawl. Maybe that's to his detriment in this fight, but I do like him to win this fight, and I think he has solid upside, I'd say. I don't think he has like a ton of upside, but solid upside here at this price tag at 8,300. And then finally, Diana Belbita, 8,000. Like I said, there's not much in this mid-range, but Belbita is somebody that does stick out. Landing 6.43 significant strikes per minute. Nobody's going to play her. Nobody's going to play this fight, and quite frankly, I don't blame you, but she does throw and land a ton, and I could see a scenario where she does go out there and put up a very good score with the crazy volume she throws, and I also think that Maria Oliveira has a huge hole in her game, and that's the wrestling, the grappling, the takedown defense, the get-up game, and I have seen Belbita go for takedowns in and outside the UFC and have success doing so. So don't hate some shots on Belbita, going to be super low owned, and if she does go out there and put up a big score, nobody's probably going to have her, so I will have a little bit of Belbita this week. All right, moving on to my favorite underdog play of the week. Last week, we hit the Jinyu Fry over 0.5 takedowns. This week, speaking of the Belbita fight, I'm taking the Maria Oliveira higher than 79.5 significant strikes. So Maria Oliveira is landing 5.27 significant strikes per minute. I think this fight does go 3 rounds, and she's still landing 5.27 significant strikes per minute while getting taken down and controlled a ton by Tabitha Ricci, while getting taken down and controlled by Vanessa Demopoulos, getting knocked down and controlled by Vanessa Demopoulos. So I think this is a fight that primarily does play out in the feet. Maybe there's a takedown or 2 from Belbita, but I think we are primarily going to get a striking fight, and I think that 79.5 does go higher there. If you want to check out Underdog Fantasy, highly recommend it. I really do. Use that promo code DFSBTN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Really do recommend some Underdog Fantasy there. All right, moving on to our live dogs then. We got Charles Oliveira, 7,600. I mean, the definition of a live dog. The guy is pound for pound one of the most dangerous guys in the UFC. He has power on the feet. We've seen Beneil knocked out. We've seen Beneil hurt. He has a crazy submission game. We've seen Beneil Dariush subbed in the UFC. So yeah, Charles Oliveira is about as live as they come. And at 7,600, although I'm picking against him, I mean, this is one of the best dogs on the slate. So love me some Charles Oliveira. Going to have my fair share of Beneil Dariush, but Charles Oliveira is a guy that you have to look at for an underdog this week, and he's going to be one of the highest. He's going to be the highest owned underdog this week for sure. I'd be shocked if he wasn't. Chris Curtis, 7,700. Yeah, Curtis is the live dog. I think it's a competitive fight. I think Curtis actually has the finishing upside as well. So if we do see a finish in this matchup, it's probably Chris Curtis getting a knockout. So for that reason, I don't hate it. I think, on the feet, it's going to be competitive. Both guys, pretty high volume as well. So I can see this fight scoring decently, I suppose. I don't see any grappling upside, though. And quite frankly, I'm not really favoring a finish. So it's not my favorite play in the world, but at 7,700 on a card where there's not a ton of dogs that I love, I think Chris Curtis is solid at 7,700. I think he's a live dog this week. Adam Fugit, another live dog this week, I'd say. I think Adam Fugit, if this fight does reach that second round, or even like late first round, like we've never seen Malak go out there and get a second round finish, a third round finish, win a decision, whereas Adam Fugit has done that. Adam Fugit, he's dangerous. He has power. He has wrestling. He has grappling. He has cardio. So I think if this fight does get extended, Adam Fugit can take over and get a finish in his own right. I'm personally picking him a lot to start him early, but if this gets extended, you're going to be loving some Adam Fugit at 7,400. And then Nate Landwehr, another live dog, I'd say 7,100. I just think this fight's going to play out a lot closer than these salaries do indicate if Nate Landwehr does not get knocked out, which that is an interesting if this week because I think it's very much on the table. But if Landwehr's chin's able to hold up, I think it's going to be a dogfight. Nate Landwehr throws a ton of volume. He's going to be in your face. He's going to be there the entire fight. He's a guy that's going to fight for your money. He's won multiple times in the UFC as a huge dog and broken the slate. Before, against David Onama, went out there, won as a pretty big dog. Went out there against Ludovic Klein, won as a pretty big dog. And he's a pretty big dog here. So he's just a guy you can never count out. I think he potentially gets knocked out this week, but if not, he has takedown upside, tons of volume, and I think it's going to be a close and competitive decision if it does get there. And if he's able to pull it off at 7,100, I think he's a solid play this week. But like I said, it's a tough ask for him to go out there and beat a guy like Danny Ige, I'd say. All right, and then there was one other one we touched on Kyle Nelson a little bit. I think Kyle Nelson's also a guy with some upside at 7,200 this week that I'll be playing in a fight that I think should be targeted as well. All right, getting on to the pump plays. Irene Aldana we talked about a little bit. I mean, this is just a narrative play for me. And, maybe Nunes doesn't want it as much anymore. I mean, it certainly did look like she did in her last fight, but maybe this fight's different. Maybe she's not taking this fight as serious as she should. And even if she doesn't, I still think she wins. But Aldana does have power. She does hit hard. And we saw what Juliana Pena was able to do just 2 fights ago. And I wouldn't be completely shocked if something like that happened again. Skill for skill, like I said, it's not even close, but it's like a narrative play here on the Aldana side for me. 6,700, I'll be sprinkling her. And then Steve Erceg, 6,800. Just a tough matchup for Erceg, I'd say, but I think he's very talented. I think he has some solid upside in the UFC. The striking's not great. The striking defense isn't great. The wrestling's not great. The grappling is next level, though. Like, if he can get this fight to the mat, I think he's going to shine here in this matchup. It's just David Dvorak does have good takedown defense, and David Dvorak has fought really good competition. So, yeah, it's a tough matchup for Erceg, I'd say, especially on somewhat short notice. But if he can get the grappling going, his grappling is next level. I was very impressed with it. So at 6,100, I don't hate some shots on Erceg. And then my fade is going to be Miranda Maverick, 9,300. I don't know. I think she's going to be the better striker, and I think that's actually where she's going to want to keep this fight, is going to be on the feet. Jasmine Jasdovic, she's the bigger fighter. I think she's the stronger fighter, probably the better wrestler. If anything, it's probably playing Jasmine here at 6,900, but I'm not really going to touch this fight at all. Pretty easy fade here on the Maverick side for me. I don't see her finishing Jasmine Jasdovic when you couldn't finish Shanna Young in your last fight. Jasmine's super tough. I think it goes to decision. I think it's somewhat competitive, honestly. So I'm going to be fading Miranda Maverick. But we did it. That is about it. Very interesting DraftKings slate this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out dfsbythenumbers.com for more content that you do not see on YouTube. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I did get some content out early this week. My prediction video's out. Going to be doing, got a live stream out early in the week as well. Best bet early in the week as well. So there's just a lot of content out early in the week. Best of luck for UFC 289. Should be a very fun card, and we will talk to you guys soon. See you later.